All right. So guys, whenever you write your automated test, you have to somehow deliver the code, right? You have to say, okay, I'm done. Here is my code, right? Now, for that purpose, you have to use some way to send this code. You cannot just save it and give the zip file, right? So what will happen? So let's see. Let's see the problem between what happens if you just save and give it to them as a zip file, right? So I'm gonna just try to make some symbols here to give you guys an idea. So let's say this is the file initially, right? And you took this file and you copied it, okay? And then you decided to add your test case, right? And on this one, you added your test case. Okay, so now this file has maybe, we give them a name. Let's give these files and whatever, like these things as a name. So that way it's easy to understand. So this is your master file, right? From the master file, you downloaded it. And then now this is your local, meaning you downloaded it, so you have it. You have a copy of this, right? So this is a copy of the master. The exact copy. Now you did some editing, okay? So you added extra test. So whatever they ask you to do, you went ahead and added that, correct? And once you did that, this is your added extra test and you put it right there. Okay, let me just. All right, so you added this extra test and you took the copy, you added extra test. Now you have a completely new copy, right? Now you have one in this case. So this is one. I will go ahead. So now you have a little bit bigger file than before, right? So you took it from here, you copied it, you added your test, and you saved it. Now you have this. Okay, so now what do we call this? This is maybe your local. We're gonna say local master, right? Or yeah, okay, let's call that. Now that you have these changes, let's say your coworkers does the same exact thing, right? So let's go ahead and give him a new color. Maybe it's better. So your coworker is this color. And let's say he did the same thing. He copied exactly at the same time, by the way. Okay, just keep that in mind. Once he had the copy right there, and he added his test as well. And now he has this. Okay. Now that he has all of that, let me just add this comment so it's easier for you guys to. Or maybe he did something different. Let's say existing test. Edited existing, edited test, let's say, easier to say. And lastly is this one, he got his local master, right? Local master. So now I need your imagination for a second. So this is guy one and this is guy two. This is QA engineer one and this is QA engineer two. Now with QA engineer one, right? You can see that his changes, he's ready to go ahead and deliver, right? So let's say the traditional way he wants to change his deliver. That means this file should replace this one because he already took the file, he made some changes, and now this file should replace it. Yes or no? You guys agree?
Yes.
Okay. Now this file and this file was copied at the same time. So let's say these two QA engineers we started working on Monday. On Monday morning, he copied the master and he started adding. This guy copied the master also at the same time. So this guy and this guy is exactly same. Now this guy is finished early. The first guy finished early. So he replaced the master with this, right? With this copy. So he has an extra test. Now this guy want to do the same thing, replace master with his copy. What's gonna happen, guys? Let's see. Critical thinking time. So now if he replaces this master, because these two are same, okay, with this one, then what happens? These guys are same, okay? So just keep in mind, this is coming from the same file. Okay, so look, QA engineer one, he made the changes, he copied it, made the changes, and then he replaced this file using his new latest file. This guy is happy, there is no problem because his changes were saved. Now this guy comes in and he does the same thing. He also saves his changes. So what happens now? What do you think will happen if if the second guy save the changes, if they copied at the same time?
I think it will change over there too.
So the second guy will do anything to harm this guy, or do you think it's going to be just fine?
It will not harm. I think you will get a notification that he changed it or anything.
No, listen, there is no GitHub, right? I'm just talking about just simply file, right? File is saved on a shared drive. He copied it, right? He copied the file. He added his test, and then he went back and replaced the file that he initially got it from, right? Because obviously it makes sense. He just added an extra test. This file no longer should be there, so it should be replaced, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Second guy copied it, did his changes because they copied it at the same time, and then he also wants to replace. So let's say he did the replace. Now, what happened to the changes from this guy? Do you think both changes will be saved or something happen in between?
I think both changes will be saved.
You know, if that was the case, then, you know, we wouldn't even need the tools, right, to manage our changes. So think about this way.
Okay.
This file and this file is same. Both take it, okay?
Okay.
And I'm gonna explain one more time. Both take it and a copy, okay? Both took a copy each exactly at the same time or maybe same hour, okay? Made their changes. This guy made a change and then he had his file ready and then he replaced this one, which was fine. Second guy also made his changes and then he replaced this one. So this one was basically, so this guy becomes this one, right? Or because this guy already made the changes, right? So this file actually replaces this file too, right? And now this guy wants to replace this guy again because his changes he wants to save. What will happen is that because they copied the master at the same time, his changes will be overwritten. His changes will be deleted because this copy was never same as this guy. This copy right here. This copy and this copy is not the same, right? So all of the changes that he had here will be replaced because this guy replacing using his copy.
Oh.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. For an example, the first one is me, second one is Sonia. I'm just trying to visualize it, right? So she can, I mean, if I change my code or I add my extra test cases, and she also did her, then she will replace my file.
Right. So let's say you and Sonia, right? You guys, I gave you 2 Word document, right? And I said, okay, once you're done, copy your Word document and replace the one that I gave you, right? So let's say I gave you Google Drive, and you just have to delete the one that is already there and upload the new one. Okay. Now Sonia did her change and everything, and she already did the same, like deleted and then uploaded the one that she had. You went and you made the change and deleted the file on Google Drive and uploaded yours, right? So whatever changes Sonia did is gone because your copy, when you took the copy initially, Sonia didn't make the change yet.
Okay. Now
Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Okay, good. So now the problem doesn't just come from there. Otherwise, okay. So let's say, what is the solution for this? Like a low-key solution, maybe like low-tech solution. The low-tech solution is going to be you asking Sonia, hey, have you already made your change? Yes, I did. Okay. Did you update it? Yes, I did. Okay, fine. Then I can update mine. Then I will copy it and then make my change. Make sense? That will be a possible solution. This is the one solution. But is that a reliable solution? Is that a solution where, you know, you work with like 10 people, work in India and you work in United States, and there is 10 people in the team? Are you gonna go and ask everybody, is there anybody here last, 2 days made any changes? Because I'm about to copy so I can make my changes.
No, this is
You know?
well, yeah.
Yeah, but this is how they used to do the work, right? This is how they used to do it until there is a tool that came and helped, right? So this is not a sustainable way because not everybody can work independently. They have to like wait. They have to make their change and they have to save the change separately. And then when everybody else saying, okay, hey, nobody's pushing nothing, nobody's saving, or nobody's, saving their local changes, then only then you said, okay, it's safe, I'm gonna go and make the change. Or there will be a channel where you're talking to everybody, like a WhatsApp group, for example, and say, guys, I'm gonna make this specific change. I need the next 2 hours for nobody to make any changes. And then once you make the changes, you're gonna tell them, guys, we have a new copy. Please do not use the old copy, because if they do use old copy, they will replace your code. Right? So these are some low-tech.
Sorry for interrupting.
Go ahead. Yeah.
If someone mistakenly use the old file, right? So someone's all hard work gone.
Exactly, all the hard work. So you could be working 5, 6, 7, 8 days, and by that time you come back, this is no longer same when you started with. So now you have to make a decision whether you're gonna replace somebody else's hardworking code, right? Because it's been 5 days, you're working really hard, and now other people already replaced this with their code, right? And this gets really, 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 crazy, because now do you not want some sort of like security here to say, don't replace it, there is new changes came in? Do you not want it? I think we should, right? So now that's why this is like, okay, let's say version, right? So when you first took a copy, this is your version, which is very similar to what this is. This is exact copy of this version. And you gave the name, whatever name. You made the changes, and now you have a new copy. This new copy, let's say version 2. This is version 1. Version 2 now is here, okay? Now this person already took version 1 as a copy and made the changes. And now version 1 and version 2, if this guy try to replace this, then it will say, oh no, sorry, there is a new changes, you cannot replace this. Isn't it better?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now that is something called version control tool. And this is not the whole picture. And I'm gonna give you guys a better idea. This is just a low key, Stone Age, when people didn't have these tools, how they worked, okay? Now, with the modern technology that we have, and there is a bunch of tools that are out there that we can use, removes all the problem. It removes all of the problem that I described with your version control. So number one is you have GitHub, right? GitHub is going to be something that we're going to be giving you training, SBN, and you have shared drive. Even shared drive tells you, hey, this file was modified, do not, do this and do that, right? So it kind of recognizes, but this is very low, low tech, I would say, shared drive. You do not have a lot of protection with shared drive, but GitHub and SBN has it, right? So basically, guys. Okay. So GitHub and SBN does it. These tools are dedicated to help you with your versions of the code. So they don't really care what code do you have. They don't care what language you're using. They don't care what's in the file. But what they do is that they control the version of those files. If the changes happens, it automatically, knows that this is the next version, and all this merging, right? All these changes going and merging it here will not happen if there's a conflict. So it will kind of alert the user, hey, are you sure you want to replace the master, because the changes that the last 3 people made is going to be overwritten, and he's gonna make it very clear to the person who is trying to replace. And now that person, if he does it intentionally, then he has to use a specific command for it. It cannot be like that simple. Okay, I want to replace. Yeah, click OK. No, it will be a command called force. So he will force it. Everybody knows that you shouldn't force. Fix other things, but do not force a push. So let's say in GitHub, this person forces and it replaces somebody's code, which was like 10 days worth of work. Okay, for some reason. That person can go back in the version and find his version and still bring the version back and push it again. Okay, so we're going to show you how GitHub works. Now, if you know GitHub, then you know SVN. They're same thing, subversion. Even the commands are similar. Okay, subversion, which stands for SVN, has a very, very similar command. So I will not even go into the SVN. If you know GitHub, just tell them I use GitHub in my last project as SVN. I used the previous project. I can only remember GitHub, sorry. And that's totally, totally okay. So just keep that in mind. Let me just go into this. So what GitHub does is that not only that it will do, and let me talk about a few things that GitHub can do for you. So GitHub is again is a version control tool. So github.com. This is how the GitHub looks like. Let's build from here. So nowadays GitHub has more capabilities, guys. It can even write some code for you. So GitHub added recently called Copilot, meaning like when you work with somebody, they give you suggestion. Okay, why not using this code? GitHub will automatically tell you like, hey, here's the code. Maybe you want to use this, and it will do guessing game. It'll do a lot of guessing for you. You wrote one line and then it will guess the second line and it'll give it to you in terms of code. So that's how easy it got nowadays. You just have to know how to use it. So not only that it will help you to manage your code and save your code somewhere and give you a different version, but it will also help you to writing the code. It's just insane. I think down the line, let me just go into one of my projects. I think down the line, what's going to happen is that nobody's going to write code because everything will be done through this AI systems, and we're just going to be, we're just going to be somebody who's reading the code and making sure things are done right, and that's it. Anyway, so let's look at one of my repository. We got a acceptance test right here, the public repository. Anybody can actually access this, and this is my GitHub account. So now here you can see I have 9 branches. If I go into the commits, let me just go to the commits right there, and I can see that each version, what kind of changes we have pushed. So you see March 14, I pushed first. That was my first commit. And every commit I can write a message to say what happened. So you see added a new test for marker editors. I click on it and I can see what tests I added on that specific day. What are the code that I added specifically on that day. So all of that is being, logged into a specific commit, and they have their ID. Okay, so these commit ID can be used to go back in time. So let's say as soon as this person right here added this code, things were happening crazy, right? Things are breaking, or he made some mistakes, and whatever is the case. I want to go back to the previous version. I can go back in here. I can copy the commit, and I can actually tell GitHub, okay, go ahead and change everything to this specific version number, and that's it. And it will simply go back in time, and it's done. You don't have to worry about the new changes, right? So somehow, let's say this change deleted everything. This guy, let's say this was an intern. We didn't hire him after the 3 months, and the intern says, oh, you know what? forget it. I'm going to delete everything and leave. The intern goes in and deletes all the files. Okay. After deleting the file, he says, okay, I'm going to now leave, right? So he left. He doesn't care about the payment, nothing. He left. And now you log in and you see, whoa, there is nothing left. All the code was deleted. All of your 6 months, 7 months, or even a year worth of work is gone. Are you gonna like say, oh, okay, that's it. Now we have to start from scratch? No, you're gonna just go and say, okay, this version has nothing, not a problem. Click on this, get the commit ID, and you'll be going back to right before he make the change, and that's it. Okay, so that's really, really easy that way. If you go back to my, if you go back to the actual branch or repository. So by the way, this is a repository. So I'm going to give you guys some terms and keywords that you have to remember. So this is a repository. Repository means that it has file folders. It's like a bucket. It has everything, right? File folders, whatever you need. So for our project POM.xml, we have the drivers and we have the source where we have the tests and all of that stuff, right? So the whole package is called repository in GitHub. So you have that. And then you have a master, remember? This is the master copy. And then we have so many other copies, right? That means whoever made the changes, they have these branches, which has the, they initially took it from master and then they added something new, right? What GitHub does is that it recognizes what was the new thing that was added. Okay, so if you go to the pull request, I can show you. So let's say this person right here. I don't know who, okay, South added this from our last class. So now South says that, okay, I added a new driver feature for both, right? So he added something new, right? So we go into the file changed and we can see in green what he added and in red what he removed, okay? Minus and plus that you can see. And then same thing right here, minus and plus of whatever he did, right? Even I commented here and I said, okay, why not doing something this and that, right? So, and I'm the owner, whatever is the case, but I asked him to do something differently. Now, this guy made his changes. The only thing GitHub will care about what changes he made. The GitHub will not care about what happened before, the copy, master copy that has all the code and everything. It will only give you the deltas, differences. It will only give you difference at all time because we don't care about what's already there. We're gonna just keep adding the differences to the new branch. You guys get it? GitHub only adds the new changes and that's it. It doesn't just replace the whole file or folder like traditionally how we would do it, right? Here, we are replacing everything once we're done. But what GitHub does, once you're done, it will compare this one with this one and say, what is the change that you added? What are the code? And only those code will be added back to the master. Any question, guys? So far it's clear, right? Because we're getting somewhere. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to understand. So we're good. How GitHub makes its changes. Okay, good. Now, as a coder, as a developer, what is the way that you will push your code, okay, in GitHub? So I'm gonna tell you the steps, but I'm gonna write the code. I'm gonna actually give you the command. Now, if you don't remember the command, that's perfectly fine. There is plenty of websites that list them, but I will give you a list. The other thing you have to keep in mind is that when you join a company, it's not necessary that you have to memorize these commands. You can Google it and you can find the command. You just have to know which command you need for what, right? That's the only thing that you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about memorization. So let's go ahead and write it. Let's say the first thing that we will do, and this is the best practices, right? This is what the developers do. This is what the QA engineers do. And this is what somebody who writes code do, okay? So just keep in mind, it's not gonna be, there is a bad practices also, but the best practice is something that I'm going to talk about. The bad practices will be outside of what I'm, about to show you guys. So when you ready to, let's say you got an assignment, and this is your, this is your repository. When you get an assignment, and they said, okay, write this specific test, and this is a master branch, you're gonna basically to get the master first, you're gonna basically do a command First, you're gonna say git checkout master. That's the first one. And this is assumption, right? That the assumption here is that you already have this repository locally saved, right? So you have to save the repository locally. So the first thing, let's talk about cloning the repository. This is your day one, first day at work. The only thing they give you is this and say, hey, here is the link of our repository. That's it. That's the only thing they gave you, nothing else. This is the only link, okay? The next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna come in here, you're gonna click on code, and you're gonna look for HTTPS, you're gonna copy this, okay? There's two ways to do it, right? You can also download the Git desktop if you don't wanna write commands. Git desktop will be also something without writing code. So we're gonna show you this. And so for now, let me show you how to do it with code, right? So you copy this specific URL, this URL and this URL is not the same, okay? Then what you do is that you're gonna open up terminal if you're Mac, right? And you're gonna be also, so you will open up terminal if you're Mac, but let's say if you are using Windows, then you're gonna open up git bash. So git bash uses the exact same command that I'm about to show you. Now you say, oh, what do I don't have git bash. No, just download it. If you have Windows, all you have to do is download git bash and that's it. If you download GitHub, it comes automatically. And then if you write, if you actually search it right here in the Windows search, if you write git bash, it's gonna open up just like this, the same exact thing, okay? Once, and again, this is your first day and you got this link. So now you wanna copy it to your local, okay? So I will basically see where I am first, ls. You can see all my files and everything. So now the first thing I will do, I'm gonna just create a folder where I can keep this whole repository, right? So I'm gonna write a command, mkdir. This is the Linux commands, right? Linux, Unix, just keep in mind. So mkdir means I want to create a directory, and now I have to give it a name, right? So name, maybe I'm gonna give as GitHub, right? GitHub projects. Like, and then I'm going to do ls to give me all the list of folders and files, and you can see GitHub project was added. So now I'm going to go inside of GitHub projects because that is a folder, right? So I'm going to go inside of it. So cd means I want to go inside GitHub and then projects, enter. And now I am inside of GitHub project, okay? Once I'm on inside project, the next thing that I need to do is that I need to copy all the code from here, right? Because I need to have master copy, right? So what I will do, I'm gonna go ahead and, okay, let me change the color of this because then you'll probably see it better. Default profile. Okay, there we go. Preference. Okay, grass, umbro. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay, this is probably good for your eyes. You can see it better. Let me know if it's small enough or big enough. Okay, so remember we created that folder, and this folder is right here. So I'm gonna say cd GitHub, and then I'm in there. So now I'm inside of this folder. Next thing I'm gonna say git clone, right? And then I want that link. Okay, git clone, and I use the link, right? So let's go back right here. So we copy the link, and we're saying the only command we're saying git clone. Okay, nothing else. So the first thing is we're cloning the repository, and let me just change the color to black maybe. Okay, that's good. The first item is clone the repository from GitHub. Okay, so you did that. The second thing will be, so we didn't even execute the command yet. So I'm going to enter and let's see what happened. Cloning, blah, blah, blah. So as you can see, it cloned it. It got everything, right? So I'm going to do ls, and it says acceptance test is already copied to my computer. Now I'm going to go inside of acceptance criteria, acceptance test, and I'm going to do ls, and I can see all the tests and everything is there. So now the next thing, what I want to do is that I want to see where I am currently, which branch I am in. So I'm gonna say git status, right? On your master branch. Your master branch is up to date with origin master. So origin master is basically means this master. Okay, this master is same as the one that I'm in, which is a master as well. So I have a local master right now because I copied it locally from the origin master, which is this. Okay, so just keep in mind. So now if I open this and make changes, I can actually go ahead and commit those changes. So the next thing that I can do is I can have my IntelliJ to open this project for me. So let's go ahead and open my IntelliJ first, and then let's go into this project. Okay, so this is not the project that I want. This is like our last BDD one. So yeah, this is the last BDD. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to click on file, and this is still not the same one. So I'm going to click on open, and once I click on open, I have to find GitHub projects, right? Remember, that's what we created. So let's see. GitHub project is the first one. Inside of GitHub project, this is the one that we copied like a few minutes ago, right? So just keep that in mind. Okay, so trust this project, new window, and then I can get rid of this old one so we don't have to get confused. Notice that everything was just added. And notice right in the corner right here, IntelliJ even knows that you're in the master copy. But this master is your local master. Now, when it comes about, so now that you did the first thing, you clone the repository. That means you yourself, they gave you a link and you're able to clone it. Now you have the copy of the code. Okay. Now they give you an assignment. The first assignment they gave you. First assignment they give you and says write a second test. This is your first test. They want you to write the second test, right? So inside of the test case folder, let's say you're going to write the second test. But the best practices is that you never work on the master copy, because in case you mess up, you can always go back. It's easy to go back. So let's say the second thing is you're going to create a new branch so you can work on your task, right? So if they ask you to do something, you can actually do it by creating new branch. The way that you're going to create new branch is going to be okay, let me just do command. Command is going to be cloning is git clone, and then I'm going to do it like this, okay? And then HTTPS URL, okay? So just know that this is not, you don't have to provide more than less than in order to in order to make this command work. It's just for me to say, okay, this is what you have to replace the whole thing with the link. Okay. The second thing will be create a new branch. So you're going to say git checkout B for branch -B, meaning like you want to create a new branch, and the branch name is, let's say, my adding or whatever, like your changes, right? So it could be your name, right? So name of the new branch, right? So it's going to be name of branch. So here you do have to put double quote, okay? So this is going to be exactly this. You just have to replace this with the name of the branch. So now name of the branch cannot have a space on it. So you have to either use underscore or you have to use dash, right? So just keep that in mind. That's the second thing you will do. So you will do this, right? So let's do it ourselves. We go in here, we have to create a branch. Okay, so I'm going to say git checkout -B. Branch name is, let's say, added new test. Okay, added new test is the branch name. I'm going to click enter. Okay, notice it automatically switched to the new branch. Now, if I go to my IntelliJ, look right there in the corner, it says added new test. That's the name of the branch that we just created. And it says switched. So that means right away it was switched to this branch. So now I'm gonna say git branch, okay, which is another command. And git branch tells me that I'm currently inside of my new branch, but not the master. So now the new branch was copied exactly from the master, right? We didn't make the changes yet. So now we're ready to make changes. So I'm gonna write the step here in the bottom. Okay, so number 3, make your changes, okay? So make your changes. So what you will do now, let's say we created a new feature file, okay? And I'm gonna say second dash test.feature. Okay, the second test.feature, notice it's red. The reason it's red is because the file has been tracking by GitHub. GitHub is saying this file is brand new. I don't know what this file is. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm just going to add something, maybe like a small test from here. So that way we just have something, you know, and not just empty files. So now we made these changes. We added this test. Okay, everybody knows how to make the change and add the test. We've been doing it for the last couple of weeks. So now that we have added a new change and you're satisfied and you want to make this code and you want to push it for somebody to review. Now you go back into your terminal. And again, this is going to be same for Git bash. So Windows and Mac will be same exact thing that I'm showing you guys. So now you're going to say Git, okay, status to see what changes you made. So when you do Git status, it says, hey, you just added a second test, but it's untracked. It is not being tracked. This file is not being recognized because this test is this is not something that came from the master, right? Which is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and write my step here first, so that way you guys can see. So once you make the changes, make your changes or add new test, whatever is the case, right? Number 4 is gonna be git status to see what changes you made and you're happy with the changes, right? So git status. So now git status tells you the file that you modified, okay? So if you feel like, okay, this is the only file you made changes to, the next thing you have to do, you have to tell git, right? Number 5, git add to make sure it's tracked, all right? So now you have to tell GitHub, hey, this is a new file, and moving forward, we're gonna also add this to our repository, okay? So now you have to say git add, the command is git add, and you have to provide the file path, okay? So now let's do that. So we already know the file path. I'm gonna copy the file path right here because git status already gave it to me. And this one, it says modified. I don't recognize this because I didn't change anything here. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I don't want this. I don't want these changes, okay? I only recognize this because I added this, right? So I'm gonna say git add, and I want this file, right? So I'm gonna click enter. As soon as you enter and nothing is returned, that means it worked, it's done. So if I do git status again, and you can see it says that you added this, okay? You see new file was added, that's it, okay? Now the next thing I need to do, if I'm happy with my changes, I can say I want to now commit my changes. That's the next thing you have to do. So commit your changes. So to commit your changes, you have to use a command called git commit, okay? And then you have to say -m and a message, right? The message is basically you write one line telling them what you change. So what you have changed, right? So this is just a description of what what you have changed, right? So that's something that you have to do. So now that we already added and everything, we can say let's commit this. So git commit -m, and I can say something like edit a new file for feature test, whatever. Okay, you know what? Edit second test. I'm just gonna be exactly specific. Second test file, right? And that's it. Enter. Oh, I probably have double quote. You see triple quote, whatever is the case. I'm going to command C. Control C will get me out of it, and then I'm going to remove that extra quote, and I enter. And notice it committed 2 changes, right? Now that I have made my commit, I can go ahead and do the push. So commit is done, and now I'm ready to push my changes. Number 7, push your changes to GitHub, right? Right. So now I can say git push simply, that's it. But then I will have command, right? So if it's new branch, then we have another command. So that command will automatically give you from here, right? So I'm gonna say git push, and notice this is the command that it wants me to use. Okay, so I'm gonna copy and paste that here. So this is basically, if it's new, then git origin and then name of branch, right? So make sure that this is the way it is. But now you don't have to worry about this, command, because as soon as you say git push, it will automatically give you the command to say, hey, this branch doesn't exist somewhere else. So here's the command that you want to use. So I'm going to copy this command, I'm going to paste it and enter, and it's done, right? So in this case, it says, okay, username and password. So I'm going to go ahead and provide my username. Okay, password, I don't probably remember. Let's see. If you don't remember password, guys, this is what you do. Okay, you go to your GitHub, and you don't even have to have password, but let me just go ahead and log in real quick. I have so many GitHub accounts because every company that I work for, I have a new GitHub account, right? If I kept in one, then I would probably have like thousands of repositories by now. Okay, let's see. 253694. Okay, enter. All right, so I just logged in. I can go into my setting, and then I can go into my developer setting, and then I will click on personal access. So token, I'm just going to create a token rather than a password. So inside, I'm just saying like, okay, here's a token. This token will be same as password, but it's secure, right? So I'm going to say temporary. 30 days later, this token will expire, so I'll have to re-log in again, which is fine. And let's do that. I'm going to give permission to everything, whatever. Delete repo as the only permission. I'm going to keep it because I don't need to delete anything. So all this permission I'm providing, and generate token. I got the token. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here because and I pasted it, enter, right? And boom, it's already changed and already added my branch to the GitHub. So now if I go in here, okay, I'm going to go back to GitHub repository, right? Acceptance test, I believe. Acceptance, there we go. Acceptance test. Once I go in there, it says, oh, look at this. You got an added new test repository pushed less than a minute ago. We just pushed the code. Now it's telling you if you want to push the code, and you can actually compare your code and then create a pull request. So I'm going to click on compare and create a pull request. So now it tells me what changes that I made down here. Okay, so it says I only made these changes, which is great because that's the only thing I changed. So I'm going to write a comment. I'm just going to say, please review my changes, right? And then I'm going to create. Okay, and once I create this, anybody that have access to this repo will be able to review your code, and he'll say, okay, that's nice. Okay, good. And he'll say something like this, review changes, and he'll say approve. Okay, I approve this and done, right? I cannot approve my own changes. So that's why you can see, look, I'm the author, so I can't change it. But let's say somehow this guy found a better way to do the same work. And let's say he doesn't like what you did, then he'll say something like this in this line. This line can be reused. Reuse, please add parameters, right? Params, for example. So he will give you some suggestion and say, okay, look, this line should be reusable. Can you add parameters and things like that, right? And he'll give you some idea and suggestion what you can do to make it better. those ideas and suggestion doesn't mean, oh, you didn't do a good job, so you have to rewrite everything. No, that just means that he's giving you a suggestion, just take it. You just gotta thank him and just say, hey, thank you so much for writing a review. I'm gonna go ahead and make the changes as you suggested, and that's it. And then you push it again and you ask him like, hey, can you go and check and see if that was good? He's gonna say, yes, it's good. Okay, can you give me an approval? And he'll give you an approval, and you'll go ahead and merge your. So once, let's say the approval is done, he did the approval, the next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna click in here, and you'll see this button is gonna be green. But before that, it would be dark, not green, right? So now you can go ahead and say merge my changes. Once you click and confirm, all the changes that I did here, it went to master. So if I go back, you see the master branch. If I go back to the test file right here, resources, I see the second cast will be here somewhere. Hold on a second. Where did we add the second? Oh, it's in the target. Sorry. Okay. It's in the target folder, and you can see the second cast is already added to the master. So now if I go back to my IntelliJ, I am still, again, as you can see, it's no longer red, but I'm still under this added new test branch. This branch is no longer relevant. So I can switch back and I can go to the master. So I can just say, okay, I'm done with this branch. I already, made my change and everything was approved and it's done. I can say git checkout master. Now, if you checked out master already, notice like if you go back to your master branch, you're not right now, you're in master, but then your master do not have the file that you added, right? Because this is a local master. Your remote master actually has that file that we just see, right? So how do you make sure that its changes also is coming back to yours, your local master? So all you have to do is that go back to terminal and say git pull, and it will pull all the changes. You can see the second file was pulled. If you go back, and you can see this was added to your local master. Now, if you want to work on another feature and task, all you have to do is do the same exact process. The first thing you'll be doing, you're gonna minus this process because you do it once, only one time when you join a company, clone it. After that, you're gonna create a new branch, you're gonna make your changes, and all of that, right? All of that all of these commands you'll be doing in order to push your code. Now, question to you guys. Oh, you know what? Let's say Sonia comes and say, look, I like the commands, but I'm not gonna remember all of this. And this is too hard for me to remember, or this is too hard for me to even understand. Is there a better way? Is there a better way, guys, that we can do this? Is there a better way without the command? The question is that, right?
I think yes.
Okay, there is more than one ways to do everything that you can hear, right? So the way that you do command is like when you become a little bit better with commands, right? And what happens is that commands is actually faster, but then yes, it is what it is. People like commands, the developers like commands because they just want to push like 1, 2, 3 seconds later, everything is ready to go. But we are QA engineers. We don't have to, there is no requirement for you to be using the commands. The reason I showed you is because just in case if you need it, or at least you will know what the commands are for the interview. Now, let's look at our IntelliJ, and let's do it the easy way now. Okay, so the second way is going to be the easy way. Now, let's say you're in master, okay? Before, and they gave you an assignment to say add a third test. The assignment is third test. You already got the assignment and everything, right? So you know what needs to be done. Now you're in the branch, you realize you're in master. The first thing you're gonna do is that, okay, is my master up to date? Okay, is my master has all the changes? If my coworkers start pushing, then I want their changes too. So first you're gonna click on Git, okay, and you're gonna pull. You're gonna go ahead and do a Git pull right here, okay, and Git pull from the master origin, and it says all files are up to date. That means nobody has made any changes, or at least your master is exactly identical to the origin master. Origin master is like the cloud, right, where is in the GitHub. So your master is all copied. It's fine. So now that you want to add the third file, the first thing we wanted to do, and it's going to be the same exact step, but instead of writing command, we're going to just click. Okay, so the first step is going to be creating a new branch. So I'm going to click on new branch. Okay, in the new branch, I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to say third test. Okay, I'm going to click create, and now you'll notice like your branch change. You're on the third branch. Okay, so you named your branch third and it's there, right? So now the next item was to, once we create a branch, was to make your changes. So let's go ahead and add the file. You're ready to add your change, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click on file. I'm going to say third test.feature. And then I'm going to just add something. So that way we have, something to push, right? Okay, so now that so let's say, like make believe, right, that you are all happy with your changes. You feel like, okay, this is what they wanted. This is what they were asking for from your assignment. You're happy. You added the test. The next thing you're going to do is what? You're going to have to do git add, right? So git add again, we don't have to write commands. I can see it visibly that it's red. That means it's not added to the repository. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say git, okay, and I'm going to click on add. Okay, click on add, and now it's green. But green doesn't mean it's all happy and healthy and you're done. It just means that it's added to the repository, but the changes are still, you need to commit and push. It's only on your own branch. Okay, it's only on your regular branch. It's not pushed to the to the remote. So now that you did this, what is the next step? Now that you added it, the next step is commit. Okay, so let's commit it. Okay, so now I can say git, okay, commit, and in the commit, you remember we wrote messages and we were able to see what we're committing. So notice like it says, okay, you updated 2 files. This file I don't recognize. I didn't update this. So I'm going to leave that alone. Okay, but this file I recognize because we just added this, right? I can actually see the changes that I have been adding, or I added. So I'm going to say added. I'm just going to write a description, right? Added a third. Oh my goodness, I can see. Third test. One second, guys. All right, so the description again, commit message that we did right here. Let's look at it. We just added a description. So just like that, the next thing you're going to do, you will go ahead and add a description of your commit message. So you're going to say edit the third test for task, whatever task number, they usually have task number. So let's say DTA 9876, right? This is the task that you added for. So you can even mention the task here. The next thing you're going to click on commit and push. Okay, commit and push can be done together here. And here we have to do it separately when we write the command. So now you're going to just go ahead and click on push. Now click push has push force push also. So never do force push because you're going to end up erasing somebody else's changes. So notice like it says login, but this login will be the first time ever you'll deal with. So you see the login issue is only because like I'm not logged in here. So I'm going to use my token again. I'm going to go ahead and paste it. Oh, never mind. Let's go and find my GitHub token. Oh, goodness. Okay. I don't have that here. So I'm going to click on generate and just generate a new token. You see 30 days, whatever, automatically generate. Note already has been taken. Okay. So I'm going to give it a name for IntelliJ. So I got a new token for IntelliJ, generate token, boom, copy, and then give access to my IntelliJ because we didn't give access to IntelliJ before. So now what I just did is that I pushed my code, but also I connected my IntelliJ with GitHub. So in the future, whatever work I will do, I will automatically be able to push, push code, pull code, whatever I wanted to do. All right. So now that we pushed it, and again, this is going to happen on the first time when you see like, oh, you're not logged in, then all you have to do is create a token and then send it, right? And basically edit. So now you go back here, notice the third test is already like appearing as a banner, right? So then you click on compare and create a pull request. Okay, when you create the pull request, you can see your changes by clicking on the file change. And you can see this is the only thing we added, and we're satisfied, we're happy. And then we can go ahead and merge it, but somebody has to review. So in this case, you can actually copy this link and give it to your manager and say, hey, I added the test. Can you please review? So that person is going to review. Once the review is done and they approve and submit, the approval is done, you're going to come back in here, you're going to merge your code. Okay, you're going to merge your pull request and done, right? Once you're done, there is no need for this branch anymore. These changes already went back to the master, so you don't even need this branch. So you can even delete the branch if you want to, but you see you're on the third test branch, so you have to get out of it. So how do you get out of that branch? All you have to do is click in here and go back to your master. This is your local master. So you're going to check it out. Once you check it out, you see third test is missing. All you have to do is git pull, and it will pull from the masters, and you have the same copy. So the whole thing, what happens is that all the changes goes back to master ultimately, right? In this case, there will never be an issue of communication if somebody else is pushing somebody else's changes and really messing up somebody else's work. This is the best way. This is the way that you will be pushing your code, and this is how developers does it, and this is how you'll be doing it as well when you write test automation. So just keep that in mind. We're gonna probably do a practice one on the next time. But in the meantime, I would say if you create your GitHub account and do a practice, everything that I did, you can actually do a practice. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys command if you're interested in writing commands, but you don't have to. It's just as good if you do it here, right? The command, you can say, I don't use command as much because I use, IntelliJ UI feature, and that is fine. But if you're a coder and you say that, it doesn't look good, right? So at least you can talk about the command, but again, your real work, you're gonna just do it through IntelliJ, git push pull, whatever you want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this in the chat. You can save it to yourself, and then maybe this will be something that you can use. You're never gonna find it the way that I wrote it, because this is like exactly what you need. If you Google search or whatever is the case, you're gonna find unnecessary information, and it's like extra details and not narrowing down to exactly what you need. With that said, guys, good day. GitHub is a very short, course. So maybe I'm gonna spend the next 10-15 minutes here talking about interview stuff. But other than that, any questions on GitHub? All right, I noticed like some people joined late today, so I hope you're able to catch the command, because we did the same exact work that you just saw with command as well. So you can do it with command. You can do it directly using IntelliJ. That's one of the reason why I tell you guys to use IntelliJ. I could have asked you guys to use Eclipse and it would be just as good. It's just that IntelliJ will make your life 20 times easier by giving you all the tools that you need. You can even have additional plugins to make your life much, much, much easier. So now, let's say you join a company and they're asking you to do code refactor, maybe like, oh, make things better. Sure, there is no work, but they make things better. Sure, click on problems, and you can see exactly where the problem is and what kind of problem that is. So you can see undefined steps, and you can start to address those issues. So you can actually click on problem. IntelliJ will tell you where is the problem. And all you have to do is go and fix it and then push your code. So if you're fixing this one, right, this one specific issue, then create a new branch just for that. Create a new pull request just for that, and that's it. It's better to give a small amount of work at a time, daily basis, than doing like 2 weeks of work and pushing it at the same time. Ask me why. It's better to do a small, portion at a time. You guys are still here, right?
Why?
All right, good. At least, Question, when you guys ask question, it's better because then I can I know that we're interacting. So the reason why it's good to give them small, amount of code at a time is because then somebody has to review. So let's say you did 2 weeks of work and you have 5 pages worth of code. This guy is going to take 3 to 4 days just to review and then tell you whether it's good or not. But most importantly, it is going to be frustrating for you and for him because now he's going to find more than one issue. And he's going to say, wow, this person just pushed the code and it has like 10 issues, and he might also bring it up to the team's attention. It's not a good use of my time. I was reviewing this code and I found like so many unnecessary issues. And, I just think that, before you ask me to review, make sure you review yourself and then you send it to me. Is he valid? Yes, of course it's valid, right? But now if you're pushing small changes like this one, so let's go back to our pull request, right? And let's go and see this one, right? New web element, somebody added, right? And let me just go and see file change. He changes a lot, right? So obviously there might be some potential issues that I can find. I can see it right here. He made a change to Chrome EXE, which is Mac users is not gonna run. It's only gonna run for Windows. So now that's the problem. So I cannot approve this, right? So let's go to another pull request. This guy says, okay, I added feature for drivers, whatever is the case. And I go to the file change and I can see also a lot of changes, which is fine, but it's, medium, I would say, right? So now if this is the changes that he made, a small amount of work, I can find small issues, or I can even not find any issues and say, oh, you're good. And then he'll be able to go and merge it. But most importantly, when you go to setting, or let's say when you go to insight, weekly basis, your manager can see how much work you did. So let's see, this week I worked and I pushed the code. So if I go ahead and change it to a month and I see that I'm the only one who's pushing code for the last month, and that's it. So they can also judge your work by, looking into here. The other way they can judge your work also, if you see the contributors, and if I, let's say, click on my name, and I can see like how much changes and exactly when I did these changes and how much time I'm spending and what kind of changes I'm making, right? So we see 188 contribution. That doesn't count as like, so let's say you do all the work and put it under one, then how do you, it's gonna be basically, instead of saying 188, it's gonna be like, okay, one contribution for the whole year. So technically also is gonna put you behind and it's gonna make you look bad. And when you have a single PR with like maybe 20 tasks you're doing, you're thinking, okay, you know what, why bother? I create 20 different, branch and then push it separately and all that stuff. But it's actually making your life harder. You're making the person who's going to review their life harder. You're also putting a bad impression on the analytics side, because Git will analyze your pushing, how much code you're pushing daily basis, or daily basis is going to be suffering because it's going to look like 3 weeks you haven't done anything. All of a sudden you pushed a giant amount of code. So the managers they're not gonna go inside and say, okay, let's see how much code they did. They're just gonna say, wait a minute, 3 weeks and nothing happened, and then all of a sudden she pushes code. So that's where it's gonna be another, you don't want any of this. You can avoid those assumptions by pushing smaller pieces of code at a time. The other thing is going to be less painful, because if it's smaller, you can focus and you can say, I confidently can say I don't have any issues on my code, and therefore the person is going to approve faster and you can merge faster. But most importantly, whenever you merge new pieces of code, you're gonna make a big deal. You're gonna make an announcement. You're gonna basically go into the Teams channel, whatever chatting system your company is gonna use. You're gonna go into the whole team and you're gonna say, guys, merging my PR. So when somebody approves this, let's say this one got approved, and this has a pull request right here. You're gonna go and copy this, and you're gonna go ahead and write that into the channel and say, and you're gonna address everybody. FYI, merging my PR number 7 with the link. Please let me know if anybody has any issues with that. I'm gonna merge it in the next 10 minutes, right? So if somebody says, oh, please do not merge, I have something that I want to merge first and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's like extra. It doesn't need to be, you can merge and they can also merge, without any problem. But then you can just wait that 10 minutes and then once they're finished, then you can merge, right? So at least you're notifying them, but also you're taking credit, and you're taking credit daily basis by copying your PR and pasting it there and saying, hey guys, merging this, and that's it. And obviously, when you say merging this, you want to provide a little description. You want to say merging this, which will now change our, version of, let's say, Maven to 4.12 to 4.13. I already tested locally, everything works. So this is a safe, upgrade to the Maven, right? Or JUnit. Okay, this was a JUnit change, right? So then once that is done, everybody's okay with it. You can just go ahead and confirm and merge. Okay, so now that you did the confirm and merge, that's good. You just move on. You just do over and over again. It's just like working in a well-organized team where you have a very specific task and you do it over and over again. So first time is going to be painful, second time is going to be painful, but third time is going to get easier, and then you will enjoy. And then after that, you will enjoy because it becomes like snap of your finger whenever you want to make these changes and push. So now my question to you guys, I know what majority of you guys will say if I ask you which one do you like. Of course, you're going to say, oh, IntelliJ, I'm going to be able to pull, push, and all of this. It's fine. It's 100% valid. You can use it, no problem. If you join a company and they don't use IntelliJ, you can actually tell them, I want to use IntelliJ. Is it okay if I download? Many companies, they will say, no, don't download it, request it, right? You're not going to be, if you work in finance or highly secure projects, you are not allowed to download anything from the internet, period. You can go and research, you can go and use Google and things like that, but you're not allowed to download from the out in the wild, right? This is out in the wild. If something is on Google or outside of companies' knowledge kind of websites, that is the wild things, right? You could be potentially pulling, viruses and actually putting the whole company into a difficult situation. So because of that, the IT team will ask you not to download anything without their knowledge, period. So now, as a QA engineer, as a QA automation engineer, we're supposed to get admin access. That means we don't need any permission. We can do whatever we want, right? We can modify our system. We can download this, download that, whatever is the case. But I would give you a peace of mind is that when you join a company, don't just do that immediately. First, see if you have admin access. If you do have it, but don't abuse it, ask them first. I'm going to be downloading this specific tool. It's a community version. It's free. Do I need to create a ticket for the IT team? If they said, yeah, you have to request it, so create a ticket. So you'll create a ticket. What they're going to do is the same thing that you were about to do. They're going to download it for you. They will just monitor it and they will say, okay, you're good to go and you're done. So you just kind of like covering your ass. If they said, okay, no, you're an admin, you have access, you can download it, it's fine. Then you can download it, right? So just know that. But if you don't have admin access, you're gonna suffer a lot. We need to have admin access because as a developer, as a QA automation engineer, you need admin access to your machine. So that way you can do all of this stuff. And you can ask them, you can tell your manager, I do need admin access because I can't do this, I can't do that. I need to be able to do this certain things in my computer. Okay. So now my question was initially is that, yes, I know everybody's gonna like IntelliJ, right? Everybody's gonna say, okay, I can push and all of that stuff. If for any reason your company says IntelliJ is banned, what do you do? IntelliJ is banned. We're not gonna use it because they have security issues. What is the alternative, guys? Come on. I'll give you guys 3 seconds to think about.
Bash.
Git bash is one alternative. Okay. Okay. What else do I have? But let's say Git bash is commands, right? And I gave you guys commands. And let's say you call me like, oh, I need some help with the commands. Sure. I'll give you like breakdown. I'll tell you exactly what to do next and next and next, and you'll be fine. But let's say you want to be able to have the same ability, just like clicking and easier to, deal with. Do you have any other options aside from IntelliJ, right? There is one more option. So if you go into your GitHub, you can easily see if you click on code, it says open with GitHub desktop. right? So now if I click on it, you'll see that I don't have GitHub Desktop. You see, then it kind of like recognizes I don't have GitHub Desktop, or at least kind of tells me like, if you don't have it, go ahead and download it. So I'm going to go ahead and download Mac GitHub Desktop, and you guys will see that these commands that we have been using by IntelliJ, GitHub Desktop also does the same way. You don't have to write code. You don't have to write the commands. All right, so let it finish installing, and then we can see. So I'm just giving you alternative solution, and you'll see like this is for Windows users. I think it will be better off using this GitHub Desktop. It's the same way, you know, the way that we click on Git, pull, push, and things like that. You can do it with GitHub Desktop, as you can see. It even does a little bit more than just IntelliJ. IntelliJ, you know, does enough, but again, GitHub Desktop is just dedicated for GitHub. So obviously it'll do a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this GitHub Desktop for a second. Once we have that open, let's see Git Desktop. And let's quickly check out what's happening. Click on open. All right, so this is how it's gonna look like. Oh, it's right here. And it says sign in with GitHub, because the important thing that you have to do is that if you not sign in, then it doesn't know what you have. So you see, I'm signing in with my thing. I'm gonna click on finish. And now I have, okay, not now, blah, blah. Okay, restart. I don't want to restart. So remember the first thing, cloning of the repository. Let's say this is your day one, and you had to use this command to clone repository. You don't have to do that if you use Git Desktop, right? This is an app. You can just click on clone repository from internet, okay? And then it says, okay, internet, but you have GitHub, right? So now automatically gives me some repository because it knows that I'm logged in. So for you, because you're doing it for work, it has to be Git Enterprise, okay? Because your work environment probably going to have like enterprise license. So you have to use this. But for me, because I'm using the local, I'm gonna be this. So now I'm gonna take my repository URL. If I wanna copy it, I'll go back right there, and I'm gonna say I can just copy this, and it will still work fine for me. So I can click and copy. See? Oh, never mind. Okay, 1 second. Copy this guy right there. All right. All right. What's going on? But since I'm logged in, it already found it. I'm just trying to see if it works with the. Okay, so it already finds it because you already have that access. Because what's gonna happen is your company, they will give you access to the repository, and it will appear just like this, right? So after I click on it, I can now clone it, right? See, it's gonna clone it into a new folder. In documents, it's gonna create a new folder named GitHub, and it will go ahead and clone it. I can click on clone, and boom, it cloned it. As you can see, local changes, nothing. I haven't made any changes. It even tells you, like, if you want to make changes, open Visual Studio, which is another IDE, right? So it's really your preference. Where do you open it? You can also show it in Finder. If I click on it, it shows where it cloned it. This is where it brought it. And if you know the location of this file, you can open it with your IntelliJ next, and then make some changes. We're in master branch. You see, we have all other branches. You see, add new tests, add the third test or fourth test right here. All the branches are here. So I can switch between branches if I want to. I can go into this branch, boom, automatically I'm here. I can see what's the thing. It says create a pull request. I can create it right from here. So everything that you can do, it's going to be 10 times enhanced experience and easier when you do it with Git Desktop. But if you using IntelliJ, then it's probably better off using it here instead of going back and forth between two different systems. I personally use IntelliJ to push code, pull code, because I'm already here. I'm already like writing my code. So why just bother going another place? But Git Desktop is for people that don't know how to write commands, and they need a little bit more extra information, and then read it, understand it, and then do something. That's the way it's going to be. But as you can see, the commands is only like 7 or 8 commands, guys. So if you if you're working already and you're writing your coder, then you should probably get used to the commands, because and not to just use it, even if you don't use it, just get used to the command, because then you can talk about it, right? In the interview, you can actually talk about it and they will know that you are using the commands. And command doesn't just say, oh, okay, this person knows everything. No, these are like more like Unix commands. So you have to get familiar with Unix, Linux, and things like that. So this will also help you to become more technical. It's all about showing your more technical abilities instead of using codeless, you know, tools like IntelliJ or even using Git Desktop. But all three options is provided to you today, and you can use any of these options at work without, you know, getting scared that, oh, somebody's going to come and tell you, wow, you use Git Desktop. Wow, I thought you write commands. No, just like, okay, so you use commands. It's going to say, yes, I do use commands. Great, great. I'm happy for you. But I like Git Desktop because it's just way too fast. It, at least I don't have to, you know, have on any sort of difficulty when I'm writing commands. When I write the commands, it's fine. It's just that I have to go back and forth. I don't want to do that. It's easier for me to just do it from Git Desktop. So, you know, everybody has their ways. So you do it the way you want, and I do it the way I want. At the end of the day, what matters is that if you pushed code, and that's it. So somebody flexes, let them flex. It's really, really not that of a big deal. It's only 8 or 9 commands. If you put your mind to it, you'll be able to learn it. And so it's not a big deal to anybody to come and tell you that, oh, you should be using commands. Okay, so any question, guys? You guys think that this was, you know, it, because GitHub, we're not gonna do a lot of back and forth. It's really, really not that. This is it, right? These are the only commands, 8 commands that you should know. And this is the way that you're pushing and pulling code that you should know. So my homework to you guys is gonna be for Tuesday. I want to see that you guys can freely push and pull code. See this video. I'm going to share that right away within the next couple hours. If you need to see this video, see the video and just get really, really comfortable, because anybody ever going to get hired is going to have to use this GitHub pull and push code. Now, I'll tell you this much, because you guys are going out there to the market. If you learn the GitHub commands, or at least if you learn how to push and pull code and the reason behind it, this is almost like 90% complete. You know that, right? This is 90% done, right? You know manual testing, you know automation testing, and you know how to push code with GitHub. That's it. That just completes your ability to work in an actual environment. Now you will say, oh, what about the database and things like that? Database testers are different, right? If you target database testing and if you happen to get a job in database, then we can learn it, right? But we're still on track to give you guys training on database, right? So database is not totally necessary even to get a QA in automation job. You can tell them, I'm not good with database. I actually didn't do anything with database for the last 2 projects, and they'll be fine. So similar to that API, they have a separate API testers. API testers are different. So if you don't have API knowledge, we do have everything there is that you need to know about API in the script. So you can just read it off, and if they go, you know, real grilling you or whatever is the case, then just tell them like API is something that you haven't done most recently, and it's more about the UI. You work with Cucumber, Selenium, and that's about it. And that's it. These are the 2 topics that in my knowledge, that I feel like is left, and then we're done. All right. So yes, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, these 2 topics is going to complete it, but we're going to try to get a bit better and better and better with Selenium, because I feel like that's where we have to, Selenium with Cucumber, of course, we have to put our focus in. So if everybody here on Tuesday can kind of like demonstrate how they can pull and push code. So you are expected to create a PR. You're going to go into this. Okay, this is the link. Okay, you're going to clone it. You're going to make your change. You're going to add a new file. You're going to push it. Okay, I'm going to send these 2 right here. Okay, now everybody start pasting your email so I can give you access to this repository, because you don't have access for pushing code. Okay, I'm going to have to add you here. See all of our previous students here. So now here's the deal. I know that some of you guys do not have the GitHub account. So if you don't have an account, create it, and then ask, and then send it to me in the chat in WhatsApp. I will add you here, so that way you can push code. Okay. Alternatively, let's say you create your own repository, then you can just push it on your own branch and own repository and then show me that you did it. But I think I would prefer it here because creating a new branch and pushing it is just too much work. It's extra commands and other things that that you will probably get confused with. So I just sent you guys the repo link. You're gonna clone it, you're gonna make the changes, and you're gonna try to push it. The first time when you try to push it, it's gonna say you do not have permission to push. Okay, you do not have permission. Then you're gonna send me your email address associated with your GitHub account, and then I'm gonna add that here, and then you do the same command again. It'll allow you to do it. So just make sure you do that. Tuesday, I want to see you guys at least pushing one pull request and ready. Do not march. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and push the pull request and say, I want that to be reviewed. I'm gonna review, and then you're gonna go ahead and then merge it. But don't give me garbage when it comes about the test. Make sure when you write a test, you actually write a test, right? Like you actually do something functional test that actually works. So find the easy test that you wrote before, write it, and then in this project, and then send it over. Okay. Any questions? Any question with the homework?
No, clear.
Okay, good. All right, perfect. For tomorrow, guys, like I said, tomorrow, I'm gonna be available for you guys after maybe 2 p.m. After 2 p.m. So 2 or 3 at max, but I will be, if I'm free from 2, then I will be onward, right? Free the whole day. If you have your mock interview after 3, right? And say, okay, I'm 3:30, I'm gonna do mock interview. Just make sure you have enough time, like half an hour for the mock. And then right after that, another half an hour to set up everything for you. And then you have another half an hour for publishing your resume and things like that, right? Reviewing your resume and pushing your resume everywhere we can find. We're going to apply to thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. So tomorrow's my thing is going to be whoever's going to the market, I'm going to split some work with you. So I'm going to give you some links and say, okay, here, do this application, and let me do the others. And if you look at your email, you're going to see like 500, 600, or 700 emails came in terms of confirmation. It'll say, oh, you applied for this job, and that's it. Those emails you don't have to touch or anything. It's just confirmation. But the following day, you're going to start to see, oh, you applied for this job. Do you want to talk? And then they will ask you to call them, or they will probably call you directly. So again, tomorrow is going to be a crucial day. Even though it's going to be a lot of work for me. It's going to be almost per person is going to be 2 hours minimum to be spent, so I can market you guys. So whoever is ready, make sure like you do your part. At least your LinkedIn is ready, your resume is ready, reviewed, your summary, or at least the script that you are very comfortable in. So that way we don't end up, wasting a lot of time. All right, with that said, tomorrow, if you're ready, just give me a quick text in the morning and say, hey, I'm ready. Please let me know what time it is. Try to be free after 3, and we'll get the things running. At least for tomorrow, just be free. Because and then look, let's say we schedule at 5 p.m. but then you were expecting at 3. That's okay. You from 3 to 5, just study. Just basically do interview questions. Go on online and find interview question. Do not memorize them. Just read them. Just read the question and read the answer. That's all you have to do. Do not memorize them, guys. For now, anytime you see interview questions online, all I care about is you reading the questions and the answers. But if you read the question and if you read the answers and it doesn't make sense to you, I want you to read again. And I want you to continue to read until you said, aha, it rings a bell. Okay, I get it now. And only then you move on. Memorization is not necessary, but I need you to actually, if you read something, do it right. Do it right the first time. Don't move on from the question unless you say, okay, I get it. And then you move on to the next one. Okay. So if you're studying for the interview, if you're studying for, you know, the market, because your resume is out in the wild very soon, you're going to get so many calls, you're going to get so many emails that you're going to be dealing with. The best thing you can do for yourself every day, take, you know, 15 to 20 questions, only 15 to 20. I'm not telling you like hundreds of questions. From Google, you write down interview questions for QA and take 15 to 20 questions, and all you have to do is read the question to yourself and make sense of the answer. But make sure both has to make sense to you, and you have to be personally honest to yourself and say, do I really understand this? If you do this for the next 2 weeks, you will be, trust me, you'll be fine. You'll be more than fine. You'll be confident, and you'll be one of those guys probably getting the job first. Okay. So yes, if you do feel like, you know, I really admire people with, you know, I would say doing everything they can to bring the interview. Like some people I'll see like night after night they're spending to apply, because sometimes I just go into the emails and my job is to make sure that you are doing the right thing. So I go and check how you're replying. You know, what is your tone when you reply to an email, right? And if it's professional or not, right? Because you're not there yet. So I just want to check, right? So sometimes I see like people are going extra hard and talking to the recruiter back and forth, and now they are like applied to thousands of jobs. You know, even without me, you can go and apply as many as you want. There is no restriction, right? So you can apply as many as you want. That is totally fine. It's just that you're going to be flooded. You're going to be flooded with calls, and now from those calls you can filter out maybe 10 or 15 interviews, and that'll be like super fast. At that point, like 2 weeks later, we probably gonna have a good news. So at least I know by end of February, one of you will take the prize, and you have the choice to be that person, right? Just do the right thing, trust the process. It happened for other people. You know, you're here today because somebody else got a job, or somebody that you not know got a job, and they did it, and they're working on it. They're there, they're live. They're not, you know, they're not just making things up, right? If they can do it, you can do it too. You just have to trust the process, and just like make it as easy as possible for us, for me, and also make it easy for yourself also. Just go with it, and then once we get the interview, we will deal with it. You know, we'll deal with the interview. Everything else, paperwork, whatever, we'll deal with it at the time when it comes, right? We have a process for everything, right? I don't want to tell you everything right now. Okay, we're going to deal with it once you get an offer. What needs to be done? You got to do this, you got to do that. No, we're not going to tell you that, because then it'll overwhelm you with all this information. It's our responsibility that you go and you work on your first day. That means anything in between, we're going to guide you to make sure everything is done right, so that way you can go and start your job. Okay, so coming back to me and say, oh, you know, this guy is saying this guy says I need to have this and that. No, just tell them, if it's on the resume, yes, I have it, I'll give it to you, but first set me up the interview, right? If it's on the resume, it's there, right? So you don't have to worry about, oh, this guy's saying there will be an extensive background check. No, yeah, so what? There is an extensive background check, we'll do it. You know, it's not like we're not going to do it. Everybody has to go through background check, and that is perfectly fine. Okay, so let us worry about all of that. You worry about getting the interview, and that's the only thing you have to worry about, nothing else. Everything else, keep it to the side and just blindly trust the process until you get an offer. Once you get the offer on the table, that means you get a start date and everything. If somehow we mess up your paperwork, if somehow we are not able to help with the rest of the stuff, then you come and tell me like, okay, what did you tell me? We did all this work, got the job, and now we have to lose the job because you couldn't do this or that or whatever is the case, right? Then we can talk about it, right? But at least I can tell you is nobody ever fail a background check. Okay, especially in IT, because if it's a 6 months contract, there is no background check, period. Okay, that's going to be a criminal background check. Most of us are fine. Okay, unless you have felonies and you robbed a bank or something, that's different. But other than that, we're fine. We're going to be fine. Okay. All right, with that said, guys, I'll let you guys go. Enjoy your rest of the weekend, and try to at least push. I need a PR. You guys can see it on the screen, right? I need a PR right here on your name, just like this. Okay. So this guy, Saud did this one. I can even see his profile. Let's see when he made this change. 2020. Okay, he pushed this change. So, and it wasn't approved because, of course, there's 5 comments that he needs to address. We wrote and I said, okay, parameters are not right, and then he said, okay, thanks, I'll fix it, but he never fixed, right? So it's not there. So there is a lot of comment that was provided that he needs to fix, and he didn't, right? So if this was an actual company and actual work, then you could have just, okay, since it's all outdated and everything, you could have just closed it and then open a new one with newer code, right? You can say, okay, this branch has been here forever. You know what? I don't want anybody to ask to review because they're going to say, wow, it's been a while. So just go ahead and close it and then just start again and see what changes you made before, and then do the similar changes with the newer PR. Other than that, if you create a PR, you can close it too yourself, because that means you're not ready to push. You're not ready to ask somebody to come and review. So you can just close it, open a new one that you're happy with, and then you can ask. All right. So don't be afraid of creating PR and be like, oh, wow, I just don't know what happened. Now, everything that I did, right? There is a shorter version of everything out there. So if you go on if you go on YouTube and write, how do I push my code to GitHub from IntelliJ? That's it, 5-10 minutes video, you're good to go. Or you can watch mine, whatever is the case, you have access to this video, but it's really, really up to you how you want to go about it. All I care about is creating a pull request for me and then sending me the link through our regular channel to say, okay, here's my pull request link, please review it. That's it. That's all I want. Okay. So you have 2-3 days. I think it shouldn't take long. It's not like a repetitive task. It's not also exhaustive amount of work. It's just understanding each command and just executing, and that's it. So it should be fairly simple for you guys. Okay. Enjoy your rest of the week, guys, and weekend, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Those who is ready for mock interview for tomorrow, just make sure you you reach out for your time. We'll just do one-on-one base, right? We'll just talk like a human in terms of when I'm available and when you're available, whatever is the case. Even if you're available at midnight tomorrow, I will do it and get things over with and put your resume out there. So just communicate with me when you're ready and we'll be fine. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Take care.
You're welcome. Take care.